Hello everyone and welcome to Grandstand Sports Data. In today's video, we're giving you the round 2 betting preview between the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll be going over the statistical breakdown, the fundamental breakdown, and then obviously our betting analysis. So let's get right into it. All right, let's get into the statistical breakdown now. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're coming into the series with the sharper edge on paper. They're about top 5 in both power rating and SRS, which basically tells us they're consistently played at a higher level against tougher competition. Now, Golden State is still dangerous, right? But they've dropped to more of a fringe top 10 team by the numbers. Maybe because it's starting off a little, rusty a little bit early, picking up Jimmy Butler late, and now they're coming into their own. But offensively, the numbers are tighter than they look. Minnesota scores slightly more efficiently, but Golden State actually takes care of the ball better and crashes the offensive glass harder. The Warriors' offensive rebounding percentage is top 5, which means more second chances, critical in those close games. Minnesota's edge is efficient field goal percentage and free throws per field goal attempt, so they may capitalize more at the stripe. Defensively, it's basically a wash. Both teams are neck and neck in defensive rating, and neither one has a glaring weakness. If there's a concern for Golden State, it's that their efficient field goal percentage allowed is a little bit too high. They're giving up clean looks. The real separation is in the net rating, right? Minnesota's at a plus 5.1, and they show their control of games better overall. Golden State is at about a 3.3 and has been more streaky. Also, look at the differential stats. Minnesota holds the better efficient field goal percentage and free throw per field goal attempt margins, and while their turnover margin is smaller, it's still positive. The bottom line here is this is a very even series statistically, but Minnesota is just a bit cleaner and more efficient across the board. So the edge is narrow, but it's still real. Now let's take a look at the fundamental approach in this basketball series. You're going to see Golden State has the clear edge in top-tier playoff performers, right? Between Curry, Butler, and Draymond, you're looking at nearly 60 career playoff win shares combined. Those three alone dwarf Minnesota's entire lineup output. That's battle-tested leadership that typically pays dividends in the postseason. Now, Minnesota's roster isn't scrubs. They're younger, more balanced, and deeper in role player contribution, but they don't have that same playoff mileage. Gobert's the only one cracking close to elite production. Edwards and McDaniels are solid, but they're still in the growth phase from a playoff resume standpoint. Win shares per 48 also tilt towards the Warriors. You've got 4 guys over .130, which indicates high impact and limited minutes. Minnesota only has 1 guy over that mark, and that's Gobert. That matters in crunch time when rotations start to shrink. Pace is also, I guess you would call it really close to even though the ranks will tell you different. But keep an eye on home court. It's going to be a big factor here. Minnesota gets the edge, and when you combine that with their defensive metrics from the previous slide, they'll have to lean into that home energy to counter Golden State's playoff experience. In short, or keeping it brief here, the Warriors are top heavy with proven killers. The Timberwolves are more balanced but less tested. High variance spot, expect close games, but when it's tight late, the playoff pedigree could matter in favor of Golden State. And so here comes the bettor's wet dream of a slide here. As you can see, this is a strong slide for identifying what stats actually cash tickets in the playoffs, and here's what bettors need to know. Historically, turnover margin and free throw rate have been 2 of the most profitable playoff edges over the last 5 years, and in this matchup, those are split. Golden State owns the turnover battle. Both their raw turnover percentage and their turnover differential are top tier profit angles, and they've generated a combined plus 18.11 units off of that edge alone. So that speaks to decision making and playoff poise. That's huge when possessions start to matter most. But Minnesota grabs the edge in efficiency and free throw rate. They've been, $3.88 for every $1 bet when they hold the offensive rating edge, and the 5.25 plus units when winning the free throw per field goal battle attempt. So that tells you they're more likely to win the whistle, which matters in a series that could slow down and get real physical. So the efficient field goal percentage edge has really mattered. Almost flat profit, so I wouldn't overweigh it. But the bottom line here is this is going to be a clash of battle angles, right? Golden State's value lies in pressure and control, and Minnesota's comes from getting to the line and squeezing efficiency out of the possessions. In a playoff series, that split makes this a volatile but fascinating matchup for bettors. Whoever imposes their style more often probably covers and advances. Okay, so for the spread betting trends, we want you to forget the near even season records and minor losses. What matters here is going to be the trajectory, right? Golden State, the trending is a little bit choppy, but largely flatlined after a midseason dip, showing no consistent edge against the spread. They've been hovering near break even lately, which doesn't give us much momentum confidence going into the series. Minnesota, on the other hand, had a brutal stretch against the spread, but has reversed that trend strongly. Their spread profit is on a steady upward climb over the last 10 to 12 games, which suggests odds makers may have been overpricing them, possibly due to undervaluing their defense or their pace. That matters in a playoff series because it tells us how each team is performing relative to expectations. Minnesota is covering lately, Golden State is not. For bettors, I would lean toward Minnesota early in the series when the line might still be catching up to their form. Be cautious backing Golden State unless the number gives you a significant edge. They haven't shown recent value against the spread. Now, let's move on to a moneyline betting perspective. Both teams show a positive season return on investment. Golden State at about 4.3%, where Minnesota is at 4.1%. But that's not where the edge is found. The real signal comes from recent trajectory. Golden State's line is flattening. Their moneyline performance peaked around mid-season and has since shown some choppy inconsistency. They've hovered near break-even the last 10 to 12 games, which suggests that the pricing is catching up to them, or they're underperforming relative to the market's expectations. Minnesota, on the other hand, is surging. After a rough early season dip, the line has shown steady upward movement lately, especially in the final 6 to 8 games. It's about the whole playoffs when they were playing Los Angeles. That late season value uptick shows they're winning games outright as slight dogs or short favorites, right where playoff pricing typically settles. So, for the betting series, or for series betting, Minnesota is becoming more profitable at just the right time. If the price stays palatable, they're the team with moneyline momentum. Golden State may need a value angle, like game specific spots, rather than riding any sort of trend. Now, let's move on to the series betting lines. Uh, Odds makers open the Timberwolves as a moderate favorite, laying minus 175 when it comes to the money line and minus 1.5 on the series spread. So that lines up with the model's forecast. Minnesota in 4 games to 2 fashion with a 61% win probability in those 10,000 Monte Carlo simulations. So what stands out to me is the model's conviction. It fires on Minnesota across the board. Series line, spread, and the over. That's backed by the statistical edge we saw earlier in key playoff indicators like offensive rating, efficient field goal percentage, and then free throws per field goal attempt impact. So Minnesota also showed sharper upward money line and spread trends late in the year. That's something you have to put in your back pocket. The value play here isn't just who wins, it's how the Wolves will win. If you're betting this series, you're either riding Minnesota's matchup efficiency and upward trend, or you're looking to pick spots fading the market when Golden State is over adjusted as a short dog. The bottom line here is the edge is on Minnesota, but be price sensitive. If the number inflates, that's when the value flips. My 2 cents on this series matchup, I think that Golden State is going to cover, but it's a big number at minus 150 at that 1.5. I think that there's tremendous value on the plus 150 for Golden State. I think that their experience, I think that's going to make a difference. I also think that they have the talent. They have Jimmy Butler. They have, a lot of people call it that dog in him, and they talk about Anthony Edwards. They do talk about Jimmy Butler in the same light as well, but I think that's going to cancel each other out. And who has the better secondary performance? And I hate to call Steph secondary performance, but I'm talking about just from the personality standpoint. I would rely more on Steph than what Minnesota has behind Anthony Edwards. That's just my take on it. Um, I just think that Golden State's going to match the physicality as Minnesota. They did against Houston, and that's just my take on it. We went through the whole slide showing you both sides of the argument, so do with it what you want. Just if you wanted my 2 cents, I think Golden State will pull the upset in this series. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in to the NBA first round playoff preview. We hope you had a great time and picked up some awesome information. Now, don't forget to subscribe to Grandstand Sports Data for more great shows like this one. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and share it with your friends. and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win this series. That's all for now, and we'll see you guys in the next one.